Week, hosted by LAGBAC, Chicago's LGBTQ plus bar association. I am Adam Zebelian. I am the current president of LAGBAC and also a partner at Schiller, DuCanto, and Fleck, where I practice family law. Today, our topic is immigration law, and one of my fellow board members and executive board members, Juliana Martinez, is here with us today to talk about immigration law. She is an immigration attorney at Fragelman here in Chicago, and we're very happy to have her. Hi, Juliana.
Hello.
Juliana, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so my name is Juliana Martinez. I am a senior associate at Fragelman Del Rey, Brinson and Lowy. I've been there for about 7 years, and my concentration is employment immigration. However, we do have a crossover for family-based immigration, and we also do pro bono work in the humanitarian sector. So overall, our clients base from families, one-offs, and then big corporations.
In the employment space.
In the employment space, however, with that, we do get the caveat of one-offs, or we get employees that say, hey, the business won't sponsor this, can you go ahead and help me? And we definitely take those cases on a pro bono basis, or we take it as a personal and confidential case.
And when you say a one-off, that would mean an individual that's not, that's either a pro bono client or paying their own way, not being supported by a company.
Correct. Because usually when we do take pro bono cases, we have them go through a nonprofit, and the nonprofit screens for the viability, and then they're assigned to attorneys at our firm.
So Fragelman's a large law firm. It's an international law firm.
Yeah.
How many lawyers do you guys have there?
So we are international. We're in all the major hubs in the U.S., and then we have locations worldwide.
Is Fragelman just immigration?
Just immigration.
Oh, it's just immigration. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's exclusively immigration, inbound U.S., outbound U.S., and then anywhere in the world. So even if we don't have a location, we'll find an attorney in that country that can go ahead and assist through our client, through our portals and through everything that we have. But overall, we're over 1,000 employees worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what led you to immigration law?
So that's a really big one. I was actually undocumented. I came to the U.S. without status, and thankfully, due to Obama and former President Biden, I was able to obtain DACA. I got DACA in my late 20s, and
what is DACA, by the way?
DACA is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which has parameters that if you entered without inspection, or if your visa has expired and you are of a certain age and under a certain age when the program came out, you're able to say, this is me, I need work authorization, please, and please put me on a deferral of proceedings. So as a result of that, I was able to get a social security number, I was able to get work authorization, and then I thought to myself, what else can I do to help myself? Because before that, it was living in the shadows. So I went ahead and said, okay, how can I make it so people don't talk down to me about this anymore? Like, not to make it my Achilles heel. So instead, I went to law school. And in law school, I was like, okay, we're going to focus on immigration, we're going to do this and that. And here I am today. My current boss gave me the great opportunity because my experience was humanitarian, and then I got thrown into the employment sector, which has been an amazing match because I can also focus on family-based and the humanitarian portion. Okay. So it was basically, I wanted to be able to advocate for myself and for the others that didn't make it into the program due to the parameters of age.
So did you go to college then in the U.S.?
Yeah, I've been in the U.S. since I was a toddler.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been in the U.S. since I was a toddler.
From where?
I'm from Peru.
Okay.
I'm from Peru, but I predominantly grew up in Tampa, Florida. And then I went to school. I got accepted into Chicago, Kent, a great scholarship opportunity. And I always wanted the traditional college experience, which I couldn't have before. So I moved to Chicago. I took the bar. Illinois admitted DACA attorneys while I was in law school, so I was able to remain.
Wait, why did some...
It wasn't. Some states don't. It depends.
Really?
Yes.
So someone that went to law school here in the United States legally with a social security number that was protected under DACA, some states would not allow you to take their bar exam and practice.
Yep. When I started, Illinois was one of those states, and I was blessed.
That allowed you to practice.
That allowed me to practice. I think I found out around my 2L year that they changed the requirements for acceptance into the bar. And I took the bar, I passed, and I've been here ever since. And Chicago has been incredibly accepting. and open to a DACA gay attorney from Peru.
That's really quite an amazing story.
Thanks.
So where does your family live? Are they back in Tampa?
I have a lot of family in Tampa, my nuclear family, but then a lot of my distant family is still in Peru, and I have one sister here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a good journey.
Yeah, so for the obvious reasons you went into immigration law because it was close to you.
Yeah.
I just think it's quite heroic that you went to law school not knowing that you could actually be a lawyer. Because if you don't pass the bar, you're not a lawyer.
Yeah, but there were states that did allow. That was California and New York. So it was always like, I want this experience, I want to have this, but also I know where I stand. So I always was aware that I would have to leave and couldn't go to Florida, but I did have those states as an option. But when Illinois opened up, it was like, oh my God, what a gift.
So this might be a dumb question, but I'm assuming Florida still doesn't allow DACA.
Last time I checked, because once I left, I was like, I love to go home, but there's differences in how I was treated in Florida, even as DACA, to the way that Illinois, Chicago specifically, was so welcoming. And immigration is federal law. So even if I wanted to move to Florida, I could practice if my practice is exclusive to immigration. I've never really looked again into waiving into the bar just because of the paperwork and the fact that it wasn't welcoming before. But no offense to Florida, I love to go home.
You just would be limited in what you could do there.
Yeah, and I mean, I always
But now you're a green card holder.
Yeah, now I'm a green card holder, so I'm good. You know, that was a journey as well, but
so you're married.
I am married.
How did you meet your wife?
So me and my wife went to the same high school in Tampa, Florida, and we didn't know each other at all. We met each other through mutual friends later on, and we've been together on and off for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, she's great.
And you recently got married, am I right?
We recently got married. We were engaged for a while, and then we just did it, and it's been great. Like, she's always been family. She's intertwined into my nuclear family as well, and we just have a great life together.
So, do you ever see yourself leaving Chicago?
I really like the firm I work at, and there's no Tampa office. There is a Miami office, but if you're from Florida, you know that's a different world.
Right.
So for right now, Chicago is where I want to be long term.
And you're happy at your firm? And
Yeah. You know, my firm was very open. I was very direct of my immigration status and what I could and couldn't do, especially when some of the programs were paused for a while, the DACA program. And I have a great boss who really understands, like, being a woman in law, but also being a woman in law with this, which is a DACA recipient, aka a dreamer. So I've never felt limited.
So I'm learning this. We've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
You've served on the LAGBAC board a long time together, and I'm learning things about you I didn't know.
Yeah.
You've lived the American dream to a large extent.
Yeah, you know, it's been a journey. I've been here for as long as I can remember, and I feel more empowered to talk about it now and to stand up for my community because I do have the safety of the green card. Before that, I talked about it more since I became a DACA recipient, but it's always like, I don't know how it's gonna be treated, how people are gonna tread around it, and there has been some negativity. It doesn't feel good to see the news and to see how we're belittled, even though we might have all the accolades as somebody who is a US-born citizen or was able to adjust via a different route. So I do have my DACA group, and that feels amazing, but I have that here in Chicago. In Florida, it was more of, you don't talk about it.
Because you didn't really know, what your status was under DACA because, and this is your field, but DACA was an executive order. Am I right?
It was an executive order.
So it wasn't actual law in the sense that it was a statute passed by Congress.
Correct.
It was just an act of was it Obama?
Obama with VP Biden at the time did pass it, and it was an executive order, and during the first Trump administration, it was put into litigation, and right now it's expected to go before the Supreme Court, and we don't know what the end result is, but from the first Trump administration, we haven't been able to file new DACA recipient applications, so that stopped. So if you were able to file while you were already DACA, you were able to continue renewing. The question that we have right now is, will the renewal stop or will they continue? But thankfully, I'm not trying to fearmonger.
Yeah.
As of right now, you are able to renew, and we are recommending that if you are DACA and you expire in 2025, please renew, just to have it pending, to have it there, and to ensure that you at least get the 2 years. Because it's $500, around $500 every 2 years to get a 2-year work authorization.
But because it's an executive order, it can go away like that, right?
It can.
With
It did go away for a little bit, came back.
With a signature of a president.
Yes.
And we are, there's an elephant in the room. Things have changed.
Yeah.
Our community, and when I say our community, I mean the community of Chicago, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear.
Yeah.
The federal government coming in and seeing people be taken away from their family members, it's quite heart-wrenching. I'm proud of the city for supporting those individuals and not working with people to do those sorts of things. But we have to talk about how have things changed. And I know that we don't have a ton of time, but things have changed.
Yeah, they have changed.
Drastically in a week.
They have. It's been a roller coaster right now. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, and we were kind of expecting it because we did have it the first go around. We would get executive orders, we would get different notifications that things were coming. So we were prepared for that, but it's been really hard to continue monitoring what's happening. I think a big something that people don't see is like, oh, he's only going after this group. Actually, it's everybody. So if you're here on a green card, if you're here on a work visa, we are recommending that you carry your documents. You carry your documents around because we want you to be able to prove that you're here with status if for whatever reason you do go ahead and come into contact with an agent of CBP, an ICE agent. But there have been changes that affect all of it. The birthright executive order that is being litigated, but it has been stayed, but that would change the ground for people that even have babies legally here. Like, if you are here on a temporary work visa, you have the status to work, so does your husband who's also here legally. But neither of you are permanent residents or citizens. That goes ahead and makes it so your child isn't a U.S. citizen. Like, being born on U.S. land no longer would give you that status.
Based on the executive order.
On the executive order.
So,
thankfully, it stayed.
So what birthright is in that scenario then
Yeah.
is that if a child is born to two people who are temporarily
Yep.
here but legally,
Yep. There would.
or illegally,
Yep.
if you're born in the United States, you become a citizen, but your parents necessarily would not.
No, yeah, that's birthright. Yeah, but
Okay.
now they're trying to take that away.
So then the baby would not even count
Correct.
as a citizen.
Correct. You would have to get the passport for your country of origin and then file the proper documentation to ensure that your child has non-immigrant status, if that is possible. Otherwise, your child would be without status.
But the problem is that it's baked into our Constitution. You just can't
Exactly.
amend the Constitution
I agree.
without 2/3 of Congress.
Exactly.
So I don't know where that's going.
I don't see
but,
it.
But nevertheless, it
It's scary.
strikes fear in a community
It
that's
does.
already full of fear.
I agree. It does. And we get the emails, we talk about it. I'm like, in my judgment, I don't think it'll go. But I'm only me, in my opinion, so we're just trying to make sure that everybody feels safe, everybody feels covered, that pregnant women are able to enjoy their pregnancy without the fear of what will happen to my child.
Are families at this point, children and parents being separated? I've recently heard a story about one of my friends' friends. Her sister and brother-in-law were deported, and she was stuck with, not stuck, but she was with her nephew who was 7. And she's not capable
Yeah.
by herself of caring for a 7-year-old, and his parents are now wherever. I'm not sure where their country of origin was. Is that happening?
We saw that happen before. We have, we know it's happened. We just haven't had that big story come through via
Because
the media.
it's been a week.
It's been
a week and a half.
But we do, from what we saw previously, that does happen, and then the family has to make the decision whether the U.S. citizen child will remain here or will they go home to their parents. Is there an avenue for the parents to come back? what is the resolution is so fact specific on what your immigration history is, and that's why we really recommend when you're looking at these items and trying to find a form of relief to really go to an immigration attorney. There are nonprofits out there that can screen: National Immigrant Justice Center, the Resurrection Project, World Relief Chicago, all of these organizations, we've worked with in the past, and we would say, even though it might cost something, it might not be free, we want you to get the correct guidance so you don't miss something that could help, or you go ahead and do something that is incorrect that would go ahead and have repercussions years and years down the road.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's my understanding there's been a need for immigration lawyers for a long time.
Yeah.
And now the need has to have increased.
Yeah, it has. I think right now with the capacity that we have, even though the majority of the population that I work with is not, affected, it does trickle, and the emails are here. People are scared. We have to have a lot of empathy. We have to ensure that we understand that it's coming from a place of fear, not a place of like, I need attention. So we are working really hard, but a lot of the times it's a lot. So there is a need for immigration attorneys. There's a need for pro bono attorneys to take on cases when you work with a nonprofit. So if you're an attorney and you're out there and you're like, oh, I can take on something to help this family, these nonprofits go ahead and pair up with you, and they do help you navigate, but you're the attorney on record. So
do they train
yes,
lawyers?
Yes, they do train. Any attorney can go. And if you need a case assigned to you, we know a lot of the bigger firms do take cases and they handle it as a group because it's not their specialty, but that is going to be needed more than ever. We do volunteer at clinics for DACA. We do volunteer at clinics for citizenship. All of that is out there. You need to be able to know where to go and where to get this assistance.
So this is Queer Lawyers Speak.
Yeah.
How is this impacting the LGBTQ plus community in the immigration space, if at all?
So as of right now, the X marker on U.S. documents and applications will be taken away.
And what is that?
It's when somebody doesn't identify as male or female, and you can put X. So it lets people be out there, be who they are, and not have to fit into the mold. But as of right now, they have said they only want male and female. And all applications out there that have the X marker picked will be stopped. And they're not going to go ahead and process them because...
Applications for what? For asylum?
No, this is like passports and other documents. So this is where it goes into the hole of what will happen to those applications. Will you have to refile? Will you get a refund? Will it go ahead and start all over again? We don't know. We also don't know how it will go through customs when you come in if your passport does have an X marker, like you elected the X identifier.
Does it void it?
Yeah, I personally, we haven't had those kind of scenarios yet, but if you have somebody who has misconstrued the rule, they never said they're going to invalidate documents that are already out there. But how are they going to treat you when you're coming through customs? And unfortunately, it's like, kill them with kindness,
Right.
Be able to articulate, to explain. If questioned, you don't have to go out and out yourself. If you have an X marker, you just go, look, if they ask a question, it's like, yeah, I identified as X, and I have a valid passport. I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm a permanent resident. Thank you. And then
But we just don't know.
We don't know.
Yet.
I haven't heard any stories out there of people not being admitted under the X marker, but it does open up our LGBTQ plus community to further questioning. And it is scary. Mm-hmm. It's scary because you're just trying to come back into a country that's yours. You don't want to be vetted. And a lot of U.S. citizens have not experienced what secondary inspection is, meaning being taken back and asked more questions in a little white room.
Which can be very terrifying.
It is. It is. I'm like, it's scary, and then you kind of don't know what your rights are. You're not allowed to have an attorney during that time. So
you're not entitled to a lawyer?
Not when you go through secondary, because you're just being held right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have to talk to
Yeah, it's a lot. We can talk.
I don't need to. You don't need to be giving legal advice.
It's just a lot. But what I do want to go ahead and reiterate is we're trying really hard to educate our population to know your rights, to know what you can do if you're stopped, what you can do if there's somebody at your door, and all of those resources are available. And we want to make sure that we disseminate that so people are aware of what they can and can't do, because right now, knowledge is key to keep you and your loved ones safe, and I don't want anybody to feel belittled by their status. Sometimes you're in a situation that you didn't bring upon yourself, it's just what happened, it's luck of the draw. But that doesn't mean you don't matter and that you can't excel and that you can't grow.
A DACA recipient recently I was talking to him, and he was telling me that, immigrants that are here are very compliant when a law officer comes up and talks to them. And they may say something they don't have to say or allow them to enter premises they don't have to just because they're trying to overly comply.
Correct.
And you should always comply. No one's saying you shouldn't.
No, I think, if you have...
But you do have rights.
You do have rights. Do you have somebody at your door? Do they have a warrant? Is it signed by a judge? All of those are things that you want to ask before you let somebody in. If they say, give me this document, just give them that. You don't throw the kitchen sink. You just provide what is being requested of you, and that's what we always tell our clients that are entering through customs with valid visas. It's their job to provide the document, to ask what they need, to ask the questions that they need answered, and you kind of just go from there. I know that when I get nervous, I tend to word vomit.
Right.
And that's not what we want.
And people in marginalized communities
feel even worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other trends you're starting to see with regard to the LGBTQ plus community and immigration?
I know a lot of questions have come up on marriage equality. It continues to stand, continues to be the rule of law. We're not seeing anything where immigration is not accepting applications for same-sex couples. That continues to be what it is. So that isn't something that we're worried about right now. I don't know what the future comes. We have 4 more years, but if you're in a same-sex relationship, you're about to apply, please continue doing so. It's not an issue.
Right. Okay. And I should say, we're not giving legal advice here.
Nope.
We're just talking. You should always consult with a lawyer if you have any questions. And actually, what places can people reach out to for legal advice?
National Immigrant Justice Center of Chicago, they go by NIJC. We work with the Resurrection Project that is actually here in Pilsen. And then there's also World Relief Chicago that has offices in the suburbs and in Chicago proper.
Okay.
Yeah, so those 3 are organizations that our firm works with.
All right, great. Anyone watching out there, do you have advice to any young people, LGBTQ plus or not, thinking about going to law school?
Honestly, I think it was one of the greatest decisions I've ever made for myself. I wouldn't have the life I have now and be sitting here if I didn't. I think you just have to go ahead and weigh the pros and cons because of the costs. But if it's something that you do want to do, then it's one of those things that we do, do it. Like follow your dream, make yourself happy, go into the field that you know that you can advocate for your clients and just sleep peacefully.
Mm-hmm. So every guest on the show has asked this question, and it's their coming out story. Mm-hmm. What is your coming out story?
Oh, man. So I was dating men, and then my now wife came into my life, and it was like, oh, my God, this makes sense. Like, this was the missing piece. And when I told my mom, I thought it was really funny because my sisters were like, we already knew. Without me telling them, they're like, why else would you talk to her all day? Why would she come over? Why is she sleeping over? And I'm like, oh my God. Obviously, my mom, she is a traditional Hispanic woman. It took her a minute. But my dad, we never talked about it. But he's like, but I know.
Right.
So it was really pleasant. But I'm also like the oldest daughter of a Hispanic family. So I've always taken like the lead. So nothing but positives from my family, and then moving to Chicago made it easy.
Did you move together?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I moved first, and then she moved after, and now we're here, and we're in Chicago together. But it was really easy in comparison to others. I think my sisters really helped it out because it was like, oh yeah, that's your girlfriend. She's my best friend and my flower. She's in my bridal party. So,
right.
So it was nice. I was very lucky. But
okay.
Yeah, I know, we're married.
Oh, that's great. What's next for you?
For me?
Yeah.
Just continue fighting the good fight, keeping my people work authorized, keeping my pets alive, and traveling now that I can.
Yeah, you two have a couple of fur babies,
Oh my God, we're like cat ladies with no children. And a wiener dog on the side.
That's okay. If you could do it all over again, would you change anything?
No, I wouldn't. I think I'm where I need to be and where I was destined to be. I'm not a religious person, but it worked for me. And I got lucky with the administration that gave me the gift of DACA and gave me the ability to work. And
Under
stay.
Obama.
Under Obama, yeah. Go Obama, go Biden.
So you got to be up for partners soon.
I hope so, but who knows? I'm really happy with my role right now.
All right, good.
Yeah, the firm
Good.
is good to me.
Well, Juliana, thank you so much for being on the show today and taking the time out of a very busy period of time for you. And thank you again.
Of course.
And thank you to all of you for being here. We'll see you next time.